Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the show that really tries to get under the surface, giving you the insights you need.
Great to be here.
Today, we're tackling something huge, something that's probably in your kitchen right now. Ultra-processed foods. You might hear them called UPFs.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, really, is to cut through some of the noise around this, figure out what UPFs actually are.
Yeah, the definition is key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then look at the health side. The impacts seem surprisingly broad. We want to explore why they might be harmful, and then importantly, talk about what you can actually do with this info.
Practical steps are crucial.
Definitely. There might be some eye-openers along the way about what's, really on our plates these days. So where do we start with something so common? Okay, let's unpack this.
Good place to start.
So the big question first, what are ultra-processed foods? Because, process can mean almost anything, right? Like chopping carrots is processing.
That's true, but UPFs are, well, they're in a totally different category.
Okay.
The core idea is that these are industrial formulations made mostly from substances you generally wouldn't use in home cooking.
Industrial formulations. What kind of substances are we talking about?
I think things like high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, protein isolates, modified starches,
Right.
and then a whole host of additives, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, colors, emulsifiers, flavors, stuff designed to make the product last longer or taste a certain way.
Gotcha. So it's less about the food itself and more about additions and alterations.
Largely, yes. And their characteristics are pretty consistent, too. They tend to be very energy-dense, lots of calories for their weight,
Okay.
often high in added sugar, unhealthy fats, and salt. And critically, they usually contain very little, or sometimes in actual whole food. It's a big step away from traditional food preparation.
That makes the distinction much clearer. So
Uh-huh.
for you listening, it's not just the obvious junk food, although, yes, things like packaged chips, cookies, sugary cereals, most ready meals,
Definitely those.
soft drinks, processed meats like hot dogs, bacon. But it can also include things that maybe seem healthier, like some mass-produced breads, flavored yogurts, maybe even some breakfast bars.
Exactly. Some things marketed as healthy can still fit the UPF definition based on their ingredients and processing. It's surprisingly widespread.
It really is. Okay,
Yeah.
so once we kind of get a handle on what they are, the next big question, the one that really matters is, what are they doing to our health?
Right.
And here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little concerning. Let's talk about these health alarms.
Yeah, this is where a lot of the research is focused. And what's fascinating here is, well, it's the sheer breadth of the associations. It's not just one thing.
Okay.
High consumption of UPFs is strongly linked to a whole range of significant health problems. It's like they seem to subtly undermine various bodily systems.
Wow. So where do we start? What's the most common link people might know?
Probably obesity and weight gain. This is a big one. UPFs are often engineered to be hyper-palatable.
Hyperpalatable, meaning super tasty.
Super tasty, yeah. Often a combination of salt, sugar, fat, and specific textures that make them very appealing and, frankly, hard to stop eating.
Oh, cool.
This encourages overconsumption, leading to excess calorie intake. And some studies actually show people gaining weight faster on UPF-heavy diets compared to whole food diets, even when calories are matched sometimes.
So it's not just willpower, it's like the food itself is pushing you to eat more.
There's definitely an element of that, and this ties directly into the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Right.
Higher intake is strongly associated with increased risk. Even relatively small increases in the proportion of UPFs in the diet seem to significantly raise that risk.
Okay, so weight gain, diabetes.
Yeah.
What about heart health?
Big connection there, too. Cardiovascular disease and hypertension. Higher UPF consumption is linked to greater risk of heart attacks, strokes, and high blood pressure.
And why is that? Is it the fat and salt?
That's a major part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
The unhealthy fats, the high sodium levels, plus often high amounts of added sugars, they all contribute to cardiovascular problems.
That's already a heavy list. Weight, diabetes, heart disease. It sounds like it's affecting core metabolic processes.
It really does seem systemic, and unfortunately it doesn't stop there. We're seeing growing evidence linking UPFs to increased risk of certain cancers.
Cancers. Which ones?
Studies have shown associations with colorectal cancer, breast cancer, esophageal cancer, among others.
Oh, wow. Any idea why?
The thinking is it could be related to specific additives or compounds formed during the high temperature processing, or maybe the lack of protective nutrients. It's still being researched heavily.
Okay.
And perhaps one of the most sobering findings is the link to all-cause mortality.
Meaning? dying earlier from any cause.
Exactly. People with the highest intake of UPF seem to have a significantly higher risk of premature death compared to those who eat very little.
That's quite stark.
It is. And we're also seeing links to liver disease, specifically non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFD.
Okay.
High UPF intake is a risk factor for developing NAFD, which can then progress to more serious things like liver fibrosis or even liver cancer.
It just keeps adding up.
Yeah. And then there's metabolic syndrome. This isn't one disease, but like a cluster of conditions: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, unhealthy cholesterol levels, excess belly fat.
Right, I heard of that.
UPF consumption is strongly linked to having metabolic syndrome, which itself dramatically increases your risk for heart disease and diabetes.
Okay, so the physical health picture is pretty grim. Is there anything else?
Actually, yes. An area that's getting more attention recently is mental health and cognitive impacts.
Really? How so?
Some emerging research suggests links between high UPF intake and increased rates of psychological distress and depressive symptoms.
Wow.
And particularly concerning, there's studies suggesting potential negative effects on cognitive performance and even learning ability in adolescents who consume a lot of these foods.
That is genuinely alarming. Covering everything from heart disease and cancer right through to our mental state and brain function.
It's a huge range.
Yeah. So what does this all mean? When you lay it all out like that, it's pretty overwhelming. It really drives home how much our food choices impact, well, everything.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding why these foods might be having these effects helps make sense of it.
Okay, so let's get into the why. What are the mechanisms?
Researchers often point to four main interconnected reasons. First, as we touched on, they are highly palatable and potentially addictive.
Right, the hyperpalatability thing.
Exactly. They're engineered for maximum taste appeal, hitting those reward centers in the brain hard. This drives overconsumption and might even foster dependence-like eating patterns for some people.
It's almost like they short-circuit our natural I'm full signals. Like with a bag of crisps, it's so easy to just keep going.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't really hungry to start with.
That's a perfect example. That's exactly the kind of effect we're talking about. Your brain gets a big reward signal, but your body isn't necessarily getting the nutrition it needs.
Okay, so that's one. What else?
Second, they are generally nutrient poor. Despite being high in calories, they tend to lack essential nutrients, things like fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients.
The good stuff.
The good stuff, yeah. While being overloaded with, as we said, added sugar, unhealthy fats, and sodium. So you get calories without the nutritional benefits, and often with detrimental components.
Makes sense. Number 3.
Third is potential gut health disruption. We're learning more and more about the importance of our gut microbiome.
Right, the bacteria in our gut.
Precisely. And certain additives commonly found in UPFs, like some emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, might negatively affect the balance of those bacteria, potentially leading to inflammation and impacting digestion and even immunity.
Okay, that's fascinating. And the fourth reason?
The fourth involves hormonal and neurological effects. Some ingredients in UPS might actually interfere with our appetite-regulating hormones, like ghrelin and leptin.
The hunger and fullness hormones.
Yes. And they might also affect brain regions involved in reward and habit formation, making it more likely that we develop patterns of habitual overeating. It's like they're working against our body's natural regulatory systems.
Wow. So, engineered taste, poor nutrition, messing with gut bacteria, and potentially even altering our brain chemistry and hormones. That's a powerful combination.
It really paints a picture of why they could be so detrimental when consumed regularly.
Okay, so it's a lot to absorb, isn't it? When we talk about something so common, so readily available, the immediate question becomes, okay, so what can I actually do about this? How do we navigate this food environment?
That's the million-dollar question, really. And there are things we can do, both individually and maybe systemically.
Okay.
From a public health standpoint, the general recommendation is pretty clear. Try to consciously reduce how much UPF you eat. The focus should shift towards diets based on whole or minimally processed foods.
So like fruits, vegetables, legumes.
Exactly. Fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, whole grains, nuts, seeds, lean proteins like fish or poultry, eggs. Foods that are closer to their natural state.
Right.
And there are bigger conversations happening, too, about things governments and health bodies could do: clearer front-of-pack labeling, maybe restrictions on marketing UPFs, especially to kids, public education campaigns.
Policies and education. But for you listening, what about day-to-day changes? Our sources mention some really practical tips.
Yes, definitely. Small changes can add up.
Like number 1, read labels. It sounds basic, but really look at the ingredients list.
Yeah, look for shorter lists, fewer ingredients you don't recognize or wouldn't have in your own kitchen. Watch out for those additives we mentioned.
Okay, second, cook more at home.
This is probably the single most effective strategy.
Ah,
When you cook from scratch, you control the ingredients, the salt, the sugar, the fats, everything.
total control. Makes sense. Third, replace snacks.
Right. Instead of reaching for the crisps, the cookies, the candy bar, try having fruit, a handful of nuts, some plain yogurt, maybe some veggie sticks with hummus. Whole food alternatives.
Good swaps. Fourth, limit sugary beverages.
Huge one. Sodas, energy drinks, even many fruit juices are packed with sugar and often artificial ingredients. Water is best. Herbal teas are great. Or make your own smoothies with whole fruit.
Right, control the sugar again. And finally, plan your meals.
Yeah, meal prepping or even just planning ahead for the week can make a big difference. It helps you avoid relying on those last-minute, often ultra-processed convenience foods when you're tired or busy.
Those are all really actionable steps, thanks. Now, we should probably add a layer of nuance here, right?
Yeah.
It's rarely ever completely black and white with nutrition.
That's a very important point. Absolutely. This is a complex area.
So what are the caveats?
Well, first, while the evidence linking UPFs to poor health is strong and growing, most of it currently comes from observational studies.
Meaning they show a correlation, not necessarily direct cause and effect.
Exactly. They show that people who eat more UPFs tend to have worse health outcomes, but it's hard to definitively prove the UPFs caused it in isolation from other lifestyle factors, although researchers try to account for that. More clinical trials where you directly control diets are happening, but they're complex and expensive to run long term.
So the science is still evolving to pin down the exact how.
Precisely. And another layer is that while not all UPFs are created equal,
Okay, so it's not all the same.
probably not. A loaf of wholemeal bread made in a factory with a few additives might be different from, say, a fluorescent-colored sugary cereal or a deep-fried snack food. Some UPFs might offer convenience or fortified nutrients even that could be beneficial in certain contexts, especially if eaten only occasionally.
Right, moderation.
Moderation is key, and this raises an important question about accessibility and affordability, too. For many people, UPFs are the cheapest, most convenient options available, so it's not just about individual choice. There are bigger systemic issues at play.
That's a really crucial context. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
the main takeaway seems pretty clear, doesn't it?
I think so.
Ultra-processed foods, while incredibly convenient, pervasive in our food supply, their regular consumption is strongly linked to a really wide and frankly worrying range of health problems.
That sums it up well. And while we definitely need more research on the precise mechanisms, the existing evidence is strong enough to support the advice to limit them.
Yeah?
A diet based primarily on whole, minimally processed foods that really remains the most reliable path we know for long-term health and well-being.
So maybe a final thought for you to take away from this. As you reflect on what we've discussed, think beyond just your own shopping trolley or plate. Consider how deeply these industrially formulated foods have become woven into the fabric of modern life. What does that reliance on them mean for how we as individuals and as a society think about health, about convenience, and maybe even about the fundamental act of eating itself, something to chew on?